But when a woman spoke out about his behavior, he and his billionaire backer, Steve Sarowitz, used a social media combat plan to scorch earth and try to bury and destroy her. Filing a baseless lawsuit will not silence us. But what would it take to get you to shut the fuck up? Asking for a friend. Now, as far as the New York Times motion to dismiss, I can't really say how I feel like that's going to go in the legal system. Sometimes you can act within the confines of the law while still being a complete and total douche. So they actually showed why it was proper for someone like Justin Baldoni in this situation to hire a crisis PR firm without ever having the goal of destroying Blake Lively in mind. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. My name is Lauren Neidigh. Yesterday, the New York Times filed its motion to dismiss Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. I went over that whole document, which you can find on my YouTube channel under live streams. But since that document was filed, a representative for Blake Lively had some interesting things to say to Deadline. In case you missed yesterday's stream, here's a short paragraph for some context of what the New York Times said in their response. Over the course of their 224-page first amended complaint, plus an added 168-page timeline, the Wayfarer parties breathlessly tell their side of an ongoing Hollywood drama involving actors Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. The complaint has, to some extent, achieved its obvious purpose. The Wayfarer party's story has been reported by countless news outlets during the last few weeks. What the complaint has not done, however, is plead a viable claim against the Times. So that's some of what their lawyers wrote in that document. Here's what the representative for Blake Lively had to say. In its motion to dismiss, the New York Times correctly calls out Justin Baldoni's lawsuit for what it is. A shameless PR document that has no business in a court of law, a Lively spokesperson said. The Lively rep added, for years, Baldoni urged men to listen to and believe women. But when a woman spoke out about his behavior, he and his billionaire backer, Steve Sarowitz, used a social media combat plan to scorch earth and try to bury and destroy her, along with the media who reports on it. These bullying tactics will not survive in court, and everyone should see their meritless claims for what they are. Now, the Times gave their own statement after they submitted their filing. A representative said, as our motion shows, this case should never have been brought against the New York Times. Blake Lively raised serious concerns about the way she was treated on the set and after the movie's release. We did exactly what news organizations should do. We informed the public of the complaint she filed with the California Civil Rights Department, Mr. Baldoni's misbegotten campaign against the Times, questioning our ethics, attempting to discredit our reporting, filing a baseless lawsuit will not silence us. Well, what would it take to get you to shut the fuck up? Asking for a friend. A lot of these statements about shameless PR, they're relating to that 168-page attachment of evidence that Justin Baldoni submitted with his amended complaint. They filed that complaint just a little bit before that February 3rd court conference with the judge, and earlier this week I obtained the transcript from that court conference. If you want to hear everything that was said between all the lawyers and the judge and what they were arguing about, you can also find that on my YouTube page under live streams. Based on that transcript and what was said in that conference, I think what Deadline wrote here about what the judge had to say regarding that timeline is accurate. Not that I'm saying the timeline should be stricken, I'm saying it accurately characterizes what the judge said. The judge also made it sound like he thinks the 168-page attachment/timeline to the latest Baldoni complaint violates federal court procedure since it's basically a narrative. He pointedly said to Friedman, "You can't just attach a factual narrative to a complaint." The judge went on to ask Friedman, "What is the purpose of that attachment?" Adding later, "You can't just give me a whole bunch of documents." The Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds parties have since moved to have that attachment stricken. And I honestly couldn't tell you which way that's going to go because I'm not an attorney, so if we have any lawyers or legal professionals watching, please leave us a comment down below and let us know what you think. And to all my other lay people with random opinions like me, let me know what you think. Was that attachment a shameless PR tactic? What do you think of what the attorney for Blake said? Now, as far as the New York Times motion to dismiss, I can't really say how I feel like that's going to go in the legal system because that's just not my area of expertise. But I will say this, when I went over those documents and I went over the attachments, it just made me really realize, wow, they emailed all these people at like 9 o'clock the night before on December 20th, and they said, we're publishing this article tomorrow, December 21st. And not only did they drop that huge bomb on them, they had to respond to all kinds of statements with their own evidence and their own explanations before the Times was going to publish the article at noon the next day. The Times also went ahead and published it almost 2 hours earlier than they said they would. So even in the limited, extremely limited window of time, the Wayfarer parties had to respond to all of that. The Times closed that window early. So it also really made me realize that the Times has some garbage practices when it comes to fair reporting. It might be within the confines of the law, I don't know, but sometimes you can act within the confines of the law while still being a complete and total douche. In doing so, they actually showed why it was proper for someone like Justin Baldoni in this situation to hire a crisis PR firm without ever having the goal of destroying Blake Lively in mind. Based on Blake's behavior during filming, her threats, and the kind of hostile takeover of the film, based on the way the cast was treating him and that way that he wasn't allowed to be around them during promotion for the film and how he had to watch the premiere in a different room, it would seem appropriate to want to protect yourself from somebody who has been, in his view, totally unreasonable, given that things with Blake had gone so sour. She and her husband Ryan Reynolds do have a lot of influence. Given that she had, in his view, mischaracterized his actions, it does just seem like kind of a smart move to hire a crisis PR firm. Dropping all that on them on a Friday night, the weekend before Christmas, and maybe not all of them celebrate Christmas, but still the holidays are an extremely busy and stressful time of year for a lot of people. So if the Times really cared about fair reporting, they could have reported it fairly, but that's not what happened in my eyes. It may have been legal, they may get their way in this lawsuit, but that behavior was still burning hot trash. I don't care if people say, well, all news outlets do it like that, or if they wanted to get the story first. It's trash. But hey, that's just what I think. Like I said, let me know what you think. Stick around, I'll have plenty more for you soon. Thanks, everyone.